The White House is struggling to tackle the public outcry over President Donald Trump's much-criticized meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Helsinki. When asked by reporters before a cabinet meeting whether Moscow was still targeting the United States, Trump shook his head and said no. Later, White House denied that Trump said that Russia is no longer targeting the United States. A U.S. district court has ordered an accused Russian agent jailed until her trial. It comes after U.S. prosecutors argued that accused Russian woman Maria Butina has ties to Russian intelligence and could flee the United States. The U.S. government has charged a 29-year-old Russian woman with conspiracy to act as a Russian government agent while infiltrating political groups. Butina was arrested on Sunday. Russia's foreign ministry has said that there are no grounds for arrest in U.S. of suspected Russian agent. It said that the arrest of a woman was carried out to spoil the positive impact of Monday's Russia-U.S. summit. Russian woman Maria Butina was arrested a day before President Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump's meet in Helsinki. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a decree to open the closed town where Russian scientists say they developed Novichok. Novichok is the nerve agent at the center of a poisoning row with London. Britain has said Russian-produced Novichok was used in the attempted murder of ex-spy Sergei Skripal along with his daughter Yulia in March. Iran has built a factory that can produce rotors for up to 60 centrifuges a day. The announcement was made by an Iranian nuclear chief, upping the stakes in a confrontation with US over the Iran's nuclear work. The announcement comes a month after Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said he had ordered agencies to prepare to increase uranium enrichment capacity if a nuclear deal with world powers falls apart. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said that reaching a denuclearization deal with North Korea may take some time. Pompeo reiterated that sanctions would continue to be enforced in the meantime. Pompeo said that progress had been made on arranging the return of remains of U.S. soldiers killed in the 1950-53 Korean War. British Prime Minister Theresa May has said that there was enough time to negotiate a Brexit deal with the European Union. May made the remarks at the time when former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson was giving his resignation speech to Parliament. Britain's Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson accused Prime Minister Theresa May of betraying millions of Brexit voters. Johnson urged the government to rethink its strategy, adding that the country would not get another chance to get it right. Johnson had led the Brexit campaign in the 2016 referendum and resigned this month over May's strategy. The European Union has fined Google with a record $5.1 billion for abusing its power in the mobile phone market. The European Commission said the firm had used the mobile operating system to illegally cement its dominant position. In search, the penalty is nearly the double of previous records of €2.4 billion, which the US tech company was ordered to pay last year over its online shopping search service. IMF chief Christine Lagarde has said that the US economy is especially vulnerable to damage from the burgeoning global trade war. She added that it could shave hundreds of billions of dollars off global GDP. The International Monetary Fund has called the increasing trade restrictions the greatest near-term threat to the world economy. China has denounced the allegations of U.S. Vice President Mike Pence that China's average tariff rate on American goods across all industries is 3 times the U.S. tariff rate on Chinese products. Chinese Foreign Ministry has said accusations of China stealing U.S. intellectual property is totally groundless. China has said that the trade war ignited by the United States will impact the world economy because it is not only targeted on China but also takes the whole world as the foe and will drag the world economy into a dangerous state. The studies by the IMF pointed out that tariff barriers will increase import prices in all countries by 10% and shrink global trade by 15% 5 years later. Argentinian President Mauricio Macri has said the economy will return to growth in 2019, following a year marked by higher than expected inflation. The turbulence prompted Argentina to turn to the International Monetary Fund for a $50 billion financing deal. Hyundai Motor Company plans to set up a showroom on Amazon.com. The firm has said that it will help car buyers book test drives, check dealer inventories and compare pricing and reviews. The showroom will operate through Amazon Vehicles, which is platform, the world's biggest online retailer, launched in 2016. It is for users to research on cars, auto parts and accessories. Amazon stock market value has reached $900 billion on Wednesday for the first time, marking a major milestone after announcing on Wednesday that it sold more than $100 million worth of products during its annual Prime Day sale. Amazon stock briefly touched 1,858, giving it a stock market value of $902 billion. Smoke billowed in southern Syria on the border with the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on Wednesday amid a Russian-backed Syrian government offensive in the area. President Bashar al-Assad's offensive has triggered the single biggest displacement of the war. Several 100,000 people. Israel has refused to grant asylum to citizens of Syria, but it has admitted thousands of them for medical treatment. Palestinians waved their national flag as they demonstrated in solidarity with the West Bank Bedouin village of Khan al-Ahmar. The village is under threat of demolition by Israel. Israel's Supreme Court has temporarily blocked the demolition of Khan al-Ahmar, which Israel says was built illegally, following growing international concerns over the move. Nineteen people lost their lives when a boat carrying 150 migrants sank off the coast of northern Cyprus. 103 migrants were rescued by boats and helicopters of the Turkish and northern Cypriot coast guards and were helped by commercial boats in the area. Rescuers are searching for the missing people. The 12 boys and the soccer coach rescued from a flooded cave in Thailand narrated their ordeal at their first public appearance. The boys waved, smiled and offered traditional Y greetings when they interacted with the media after getting discharged from the hospital. The team thanked everyone, including the rescuers and the medical staff, and paid a special tribute to Sergeant Kunan, who lost his life during the rescue mission. Dutch Foreign Minister Stef Blok defended himself after coming under the fire for saying multicultural societies could never be peaceful. He had also said that former colony Suriname was a failed state because of its diverse ethnic makeup. Lawmakers from several Dutch political parties, including all members of the governing coalition, demanded an explanation for Blok's remarks. A video shared by the Wisconsin Department for Transportation shows a woman falling into the gap of a risen drawbridge on July 4. The video shows a cyclist bypassing lower drawbridge barriers before falling. Bystanders can be seen approaching her to her aid. Emergency services can later be seen carrying the cyclist towards an ambulance. A no-confidence motion against the Indian government led by Narendra Modi has been accepted by Speaker of Lok Sabha, Sumitra Mahajan. This is the first time in 15 years that a no-confidence motion has been moved and accepted in Lok Sabha. The Speaker said that the discussion on the no-confidence motion will take place on July 20th in the lower house of Parliament and on July 23rd in the upper house. Two buildings, one of them under construction, collapsed in Greater Noida's Shah Beri village Tuesday evening. 9 bodies have been retrieved by the National Disaster Response Force teams. The identity of 2 bodies has been established. Several other persons are feared to be trapped under the rubble and are yet to be located. NDRF and local police are engaged in the relief and rescue efforts. A MiG-21 fighter jet of the Indian Air Force has crashed in Kangra district of Himachal Pradesh, leaving the pilot dead. The jet had taken off from the Pathankot Air Force Base in Punjab. A court of inquiry has been ordered to ascertain the cause of the accident. This is the second Indian Air Force fighter jet crash in 2 months. India's top court has said that a woman's right to pray is equal to that of a man and is not dependent on law to enable one to do that. The Supreme Court made the observation while hearing a bunch of petitions that challenged the traditional ban on the entry of women between 10 and 50 years of age in the Kerala's Sabrimala temple. A 48 statewide strike by Manipur University Students' Union paralyzed the Indian state. Protesters are demanding ouster of university's Vice-Chancellor, Adya Prasad Pandey. All business establishments were closed and vehicles remained off the roads, cutting off Imphal. Protesters blocked roads in several parts of the state. Flames and smokes were seen on the road, which was barricaded with poles and benches. Thousands of pages of U.S. intelligence documents on Nelson Mandela were made public on Wednesday. The documents reveal that the U.S. continued to monitor the South African anti-apartheid hero as a potential communist menace even after he has released from prison. A Washington-based group, Property of the People, released the papers to mark the 100th anniversary of Mandela's birth. It said that it obtained them after years of litigation. Renowned Indian sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik paid tribute to South African anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela on his 100th birth anniversary by making a sand sculpture. Around 3 tons of sand was used to create the sculpture. Patnaik said the art was a tribute to the leader for his work and message relating to freedom in the world. Political activists and local residents protested against pension reform at a rally in Moscow on Wednesday. The government had announced its plans last month to raise the retirement age for men from 60 to 65 and for women from 55 to 63. This was to ensure and ease pressure on state coffers from an aging population and weak economic growth made worse by the impact of sanctions.
Если на вас средств не хватит, 4 тонны
Italian planes are being flown to Sweden as the country seeks help in fighting ongoing wildfires. Sweden has been fighting wildfires all summer, including in the Hälsingland region, where firefighters have already spent days trying to put out blazes. 2 Italian water bombers with capacity to carry 6,000 litres of water in one go will be in Sweden for 8 days to douse the fire. Two shark attacks have been reported off Fire Island National Seashore east of New York City on Wednesday. In the first attack, a 12-year-old girl was bitten while wading in the waters in Brookhaven. In the second attack, a 13-year-old boy was boogie boarding at Atlantic Beach in neighboring Islip when he was struck. Officials are analyzing a tooth removed from one teenage victim's leg to determine what bit him, authorities said. Fishermen in Russia's Krasnodar region came across a water spout in the Black Sea on Monday. In a video filmed from their fishing boat, they described their astonishment at the natural phenomenon, which can be seen on the horizon. A water spout is a whirling column of air and water mist that fall into two categories: fair weather water spout and tornadic water spout.
Смерч. Очень красиво. Большой.
An intensive heat wave has blanketed much of Japan, with temperatures reaching as high as 41 degrees Celsius. Soaring temperatures are raising concerns about how Tokyo will deal with the heat during the 2020 Summer Games. The construction for the new Olympic Stadium has entered its 20th month, and officials have said the stadium will be completed on time by November next year. A survey by Odoxa Poll Institute has showed that winning the Soccer World Cup has turned the French long-time pessimists into optimists, but has not boosted President Emmanuel Macron's popularity. President and founder of the institute said that 61% of the French people still think he isn't a good president. Two young engineers in Venezuela have found an opportunity inside a garbage dump full of broken electronic hardware. It is amid a collapsing economy in the country. They are melting the plastic waste down and feeding it through 3D printers to make intricate pieces such as car parts. These have become increasingly hard to obtain in Venezuela as dysfunctional currency controls restrict the imports of basic materials. A video has been shared on social media that shows large amount of plastic and debris floating in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Santo Domingo. The video was taken off of Playa Montesino in the Dominican Republic's capital. It was filmed by members of NGO Parley for the Oceans, which is an organization campaigning in defense of the world's oceans. Japan's Princess Meiko, who is the eldest granddaughter of Emperor Akihito, visited the Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro. Princess Meiko is in her fourth official trip abroad. During her 2-week visit, she will attend ceremonies marking the 110th anniversary of the first arrival of Japanese immigrants in Brazil. She plans to visit 14 cities in 5 states.